Welcome to the Duck Lake nesting area. This wetland compartment on the Creston Valley Wildlife Management Area was the focus for restoration work in 2019 to improve wildlife habitat, in particular habitat for the endangered northern leopard frog. This work was completed to address water flow issues that we've been experiencing for the past few years. Water in the nesting area did not distribute evenly throughout the compartment. This resulted in some critical areas for northern leopard frogs drying up too early in the summer and potentially affecting frog development and growth. Areas which were dry for prolonged periods of time promoted the growth of emergent vegetation, which impacts breeding habitat quality for leopard frogs. On-the-ground works were completed in mid-October. We removed overgrown emergent vegetation such as cattails and channels so that the water could move around and spread out evenly throughout the area. We also cleaned up the inlet channel that allows us to bring water into the nesting area, and excavated and cleaned a series of smaller connector channels to help us move water around the compartment. Finally, we plowed, mowed, and disked soil in shallow water areas to reduce emergent vegetation cover and improve breeding habitat for northern leopard frogs. We acquired aerial imagery before and after the work was completed to track changes in water distribution and habitat conditions. Our focus was on restoring two main shallow water areas where northern leopard frogs breed, as well as several channels that would permit water movement throughout the nesting area. Imagery was acquired roughly 2 weeks after the work was completed, and there's already noticeable changes in the distribution of water compared to before. Overall, we have restored approximately 1,500 meters of channels and treated just over 10 hectares of shallow open water habitat. The main focus of the restoration work was to restore water flow to improve habitat conditions for breeding northern leopard frogs. The channels that were restored are also important migration corridors for leopard frogs in the spring and the fall. The restored habitats will be beneficial to other pond breeding amphibians such as Columbia spotted frog, long-toed salamander, Pacific chorus frog, western toad, as well as western painted turtle. Restored inlet and connector channels will facilitate water movement and distribution across the compartment, which is beneficial to the entire nesting area wetland ecosystem. Removing overgrown emergent vegetation, as shown here in the western nesting area, pushes back succession and will also provide better foraging conditions for a variety of water birds, including ducks and geese, shorebirds, and wading birds. We will not see the full results of our activities until the spring and summer of 2020. An interesting and immediate result as the work was in progress was that the water started to spread out from the east to the west side of the nesting area as soon as some of the emergent vegetation in the channels was removed. Below zero temperatures during the winter have frozen the exposed soils and, with any luck, have also frozen the emergent vegetation roots, which will likely knock them back in 2020. We are in the process of refilling the compartment with water for the 2020 northern leopard frog breeding season. The main lesson is that this work couldn't have succeeded if conditions weren't as dry as they were in 2019. The time of year, weather, and habitat conditions are all very important factors for this kind of restoration work. Also, the swamp pads, which were made locally, were a critical part for restoring channels within the wetland. These pads allowed the excavators to walk into saturated areas where they would have otherwise sunk. The work was done in collaboration with the Provincial Northern Leopard Frog Recovery Team, which includes members who work for the Fish and Wildlife Compensation Program in the Columbia Basin, the Nature Conservancy of Canada, the Ktunaxa Nation Council, the BC Ministry of Forest Lands and Natural Resource Operations, the Calgary Zoo, the Vancouver Aquarium, and other private contractors. The northern leopard frog habitat enhancement work completed at the Duck Lake nesting area in 2019 was funded by Environment and Climate Change Canada, with matching funds from the Creston Valley Wildlife Management Area, the Habitat Conservation Trust Foundation, and the BC Ministry of Forest Lands and Natural Resource Operations.